Okay, we've got Paul, please. I saw you come in. Oh, and Jackie, I see you there. Yep.
All right. Morena, e te kurumātua me ngā kaikona here. Thank you for hearing our submission. I'm just trying to reduce the size of my seat. Thanks for hearing our submission this morning. We appreciate your consideration very much and thought of the priorities we believe mirror the aspirations of our communities for what they want prioritised by the council. In general, this annual plan, as with the LTP, is broadly supported by the Waitai Community Board. The board supports keeping rates low as possible while ensuring that service levels are retained, investments are made in hard and social infrastructure, and strategic asset ownership is maintained. We appreciate that New Zealand is experiencing a recession after a period of rapid inflation, felt hardest in underserved areas that fall disproportionately within our board area. However, despite the marginal increase in rates in the short term, we believe returning to fully funding renewals, i.e. depreciation, from rates to save interest costs and therefore reduce rates in the long run is a good idea. And I also want to note that across the world, over the past generation, that the wealth of ordinary people has been eroded and the wealth of the super wealthy, the top 0.1%, has ballooned into the stratosphere. In that same period, the wealth of democratic governments, local and central, has also been degraded as assets have been sold and services outsourced without any long-term public benefit. Christchurch is in the strong position that we are because we have wisely kept our asset base rather than going the way of the rest of the country and eroding our capital base and finding ourselves unable to make investments in the critical infrastructure that we need. In terms of service levels, the board and our community place huge value on parks and other green spaces, libraries, pools, and then we would not want to see these service levels reduced. And despite being a popular talking point, very few people are able to identify any service level cuts that they would actually want. The board notes that people who can afford to buy books or to own a pool are often the first to suggest cuts to those services, but those cuts are neither supported by the board nor of our community. The board notes that basic services such as park maintenance, rubbish collection, litter removal, weed removal, bin provision, and signage all add to improving the amenity of our communities and the satisfaction of the community with the council. We would like to see the level of service increase in and around suburban villages such as Woolston, New Brighton and Queen's Park. And for example, rubbish removal, weeding, infrastructure maintenance and pothole repairs, backflow valve maintenance, beach access boardwalks, etc. To make them more disability friendly and accessible. In terms of the capital program, our top priorities are the Bromley traffic plan. We would like that funded properly, also $5 million. 2, the New Brighton Mall upgrade. We'd like that to continue and funding to be made available. And also, just on that, the targeted rate on vacant lots should be applied with urgency in New Brighton. The South Shore Estuary Edge project should continue as consenting allows. We'd like the Prestons and Martians Community Centre brought forward if possible, and also we'd like the Burwood and Maireho intersection improvements completed. I'd just like to draw your attention specifically to number 1, Bromley Roads, and to implore you to provide further funding, so that's the $5 million, towards improving them through the implementation of the Bromley Traffic Transport Plan. There's been a lot of work done with that community to develop this plan and to begin to rebuild trust with them. So I see funding of this as an extension of the response to the wastewater treatment plant fire and the Weave in the East project. So this is our top priority as a board. Bromley and North Linwood in particular have poorly designed roads in poor condition. They need repairing and improving. In general, we wish to remind the Council of the importance of returning all quake damaged roads and footpaths to good repair. And on that note, these are our priorities for renewal. Pratt Street, which is in concert with the Pages Road Bridge Project, Marriott's Road, Collingwood Street, Mesas Road, which is started but needs completion, Ruru Road, which also needs footpaths in places, St John's Road Bromley, which needs traffic calming, Lake Terrace Road resurfacing, Stour Drive, and the completion of the Maireho Road with road levelling. The board would like to see the Avon or Takaro major cycle route proceed sooner, and we're disappointed in the deferral of Section 2 of the Upuahu River route. And despite the northeaster, we have plenty of people who would like to ride their bikes more out east, and we should get our MCRs too. It's a real pity that we're the last e-bike off the rack. The board strongly supports the small increase in the minor safety program. However, considering the heavy demand for safety improvements from our community, the board would like to see a further increase to this fund. So on Three Waters, the board's concerned about what looks like reductions in flood protection and control works by about $12 million and questions how that could possibly be a good idea. And we'd also like to draw your attention to the need to resolve long-standing issue of to prevent surface flooding in North Beach and request that 3 North Beach stormwater outlets be upgraded. Parks and reserves, we're very supportive of the intention to enhance parks and reserves and riverbanks and a $33 million increase, but in particular we'd like to see the QE2 master plan prioritised. And we strongly support bringing forward spending on the Bexley landfill remediation. In terms of trade waste charges, we prefer the fixed volume charge because it's fairer to small businesses who have the least capacity to absorb and to adapt to price increases, and it also incentivises big users to reduce their waste. In terms of the Climate Resilience Fund policy, the board supported the establishment of the fund and continues to do so, especially given our communities will be among the first to experience the more severe effects of climate change. The fund should not become a slush fund for future councils to expend on scientifically dubious projects. It needs to go into concrete projects that help people to adapt to climate change. The board would advise the fund to be limited to infrastructure and resilience to future-proof our city, and we suggest, rather than using time frames to determine the reserve period, that the council uses trigger points. Unless Jackie wants to add anything, I'm happy to take questions.
I just wanted to point out something, just one thing about rates, and people say, oh, you know, rates need to come down. One of my constituents is a single woman with a fairly modest house, but her rates are now 14% of her pension. And if any of you can say that your rents are 14% of your after-tax income, I'd like to hear it. This is really hard on the people in our area. We are all low socioeconomic. So we do rely on the services that you provide in terms of parks and recreation and so on, because our people don't have money to pay for them. But we do need that focus on rates as well. That's all. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Got some questions? Councillor Donovan and Tyler?
We had feedback from the residents' survey that roads was one of the biggest sources of dissatisfaction. It'll come as no surprise that eastern suburbs are kind of a strong part of that. You mentioned Pratt Street and Pages Road. My understanding is some of the worst roads in that area are tied to the Pages Road hearings panel process, or sorry, the decision around that, but there's actually no timeline for delivery of those projects. So those ancillary projects, so there's about 6 to 8 roads that are tied to that project, there's actually no timeline and no budget attached to that. So something to consider as part of the annual plan.
Yes,
because those roads also flood and are vital to getting out of the area if there was a reason to evacuate.
Sure, yes, agree.
Councillor Harrison-Hunt.
Tēnā kōrua. Thank you so much for coming in. I just wanted to ask about the street renewal priorities and where they're currently sitting in the budget. Are they planned for this year and next year, or are they sort of more pushed out?
We don't have sight over the renewal priority list at the moment. So we're just saying these are the ones that we want to prioritise.
Okay, great. And out of these, in the street renewal priorities, instead of the additional transport, you've got in your submission 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 streets. Was there sort of a top 3 or top 5 that? Well,
that's the top 3 in each ward.
I see.
Yeah,
that's great. That's good to know.
Yeah. Awesome. So there's obviously lots of streets we'd like to see renewed.
Yeah.
But that we wanted to be fair across the whole of the east side. So we chose 3 to prioritise in each ward.
It's really pragmatic. Thanks so much.
Tim?
Thank you. It's the same questions I asked the previous board. We've got to be obviously smarter with our money, as any household does. Putting a scoping study for up to $200,000 for the Central City Shuttle. Prior to the earthquake, it was a success. We know that. Would you prefer us to actually put money into getting it up and running, or spend up to $200,000 on a scoping study, which we should already have a large amount of information on?
I guess pragmatically, I don't have information in front of me about it, but I can say that we supported it
Yep.
Because one of the things that older people have told us, and from door knocking and stuff, is that they can't find it hard to get around the city, find it hard to find a park, but the shuttle helped. So we're supportive of the shuttle.
Great, thank you.
Mel, just last question because time is up. Sorry.
This one's in response to Jackie's mention about the rates. It's just where are areas that we think that we could be saving money?
I don't really know, because things that we need are things that you can't cut, like, low reef pools, those sorts of things are needed in our area. I haven't got a view of where all the money goes. So, no, sorry.
Okay,
I don't really have an answer for you there.
thank you. And thanks for these good answers. If you don't know the answer, that's good to say that you don't know, and we can find out from this end.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. So now we call Emma Norrish and Simon Britt